Pawn News Update. I'm your host, John Jagger. I'm coming to you right now from Christmas Central over here. Been doing a lot of rapping, been doing a lot of present making, regular old Saint Nick over here. But I do have time to give you a Pawn News Update. You wouldn't know it because this is going to be a little bit rushed. Somebody might have gotten a little too into the holidays, a little too into the Thanksgiving, and kind of forgot what day it was. We're running a bit behind. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about Frog Wrestling, what happened last week, because it was a hell of a show. Red versus Blue, as we dubbed it, as we had to figure out who the heck is on Core Red, this group that Scott teased last week on this very show, and what is Core Blue going to do about it. They went to war last week, and the results, surprisingly one-sided. A little upsetting, but we're going to get into it because I think there's a dab of controversy to it as well. Let's walk through it. Starting with our first match, we had an Extreme Rules match. Core Blue, being represented by Dearest Martha, called out to reveal the first new member of Core Red, Kim Johnson, Scott Johnson's wife, the Frog Pants Women's Champion, and one of the best wrestlers in all of Frog Wrestling, had joined Core Red and beat Martha. Can't even accuse any shenanigans, any malfeasance, none of it. Got a clear win and a fantastic start for Core Red, a rough start for Core Blue. But now we know what we're up against. Now we know what to expect. And I don't think Core Blue is necessarily done with this particular rivalry. It was a great match. After that, we had an unintentionally themed match. Wasn't really going for comic book company battles, but that is where we wound up. We had our hockey-playing Green Lantern, Dan Patrice, going up against kicked out of Mod Syndicate, Spider Ben. I didn't really realize, honestly, that we were going to be doing a comic book crossover here, but we did. Marvel vs. DC, it happened, and it wasn't without controversy. Much like when Marvel and DC actually fought each other, the results mired in controversy because Dan Patrice picked up a victory here. But anybody who watched that match knows Ben's foot was on the ropes. The referee missed it, still counted the 1, 2, 3, shouldn't have counted. I don't think we've seen the last of these two going head-to-head. I think a determination is going to have to be made, and we'll see what way that manifests going forward. After that, we did have a non-title tag team match, and that was going to be Grinding Gear testing themselves against our brand new champions, Tanner Goodman, Brian Ibbett. I believe the name we settled on was Good Luck. I think it's a good name. Chat recommended it. I like it, but I'm not 100% sure I'm getting it right. So I'm going to have to go back and find out, which I didn't do. I'm trying to get this done. Present wrapping, remember? So anyway, we have that match, and poor Grinding Gear just couldn't get it done. They've been struggling. They do so well in non-title tag team matches or against the second or third best team. They get wins. And then when it comes time to really throw down with the champs, they've just come up short. So we're getting to the numbers where we can maybe have ourselves a tag team tournament soon here and really see who's got it, who should be next in line. And the fun thing about it is because the roster is small, I'd have to include almost everyone, which means some people who are not currently a part of a tag team or any team at all would be forced to pair up with other people, and maybe some interesting teams come of it. I think that's a good idea. Thank you, me. We might have to do that. After that, we had a fatal four-way match from our women's division. 4 amazing competitors getting to throw down and show off to show who stands tall above the rest. This was not an elimination-style match, so only one winner. And in this case, Nicole Spagnolo beating Fast Grandma, Gwen Gunn, and Monica Stone, debuting a new look, a new attitude, and really showed everybody up. So I'm definitely curious to see what Nicole is going to do. This certainly opened doors for her to move forward and maybe take a couple more steps towards challenging for the women's championship. That's not to say that the others are getting left behind or forgotten about, but you win these sorts of matches, you get noticed. And if she's following after Mark Spagnolo, expect her to make a lot of waves. Speaking of Mark, we haven't seen him in a while, but he's been doing really amazing things when he did show up. I'm thinking maybe Mark might make himself known sooner rather than later. Gonna have to keep an eye on that. After that, it was our main event, the big reveal. We know who's on Core Blue. We knew who was coming out there. It was dubbed a tag team elimination match, Core Blue versus Core Red. The obvious assumption being it would be a 2-on-2. We knew it was going to be Bo and John. Presumably, it was going to be Scott and Brian Dunaway because they were the previous members of Core. But this is where Scott got up to his old tricks, because it wasn't just Scott and Brian Dunaway. He revealed that the Mod Syndicate had disbanded for a reason, and that was so Tom Merritt himself, Ace to Technical himself, could join Core Red and help them in a 3-on-2 tag team elimination match. Now, this match was fantastic. A lot of back and forth, very good, and things looked really, really good for Core Blue. Despite being outnumbered, they were holding their own. They were doing a wonderful job. I do say so myself. Until, at the very end, I'm going to just say it, a little bit of controversy, because if I can not talk as the host of Frog News for the moment and speak instead as Wrestler John, there is no way that I was knocked out by a submission move instantly applied. In addition to that, there's no way that I tapped before the move was even fully locked in. I have a lot of questions about the abruptness that this ended. Now, I was a little distracted. The broadcast went out for those that were live. There was a lot of technical issues. I was trying to get it recorded so the VOD could go up. But I'm telling you, go back and look. I don't think John actually gave up. Now, I'm not saying the referee definitely was paid off by Core Red. That make a lot of sense, but this referee did miss a foot on the rope. The referee did get knocked out earlier in the match. Maybe a little befuddled. I don't know. What I do know is I don't think this should have been an immediate loss, as it was called. Regardless of whether you want to say it was fair or unfair, it's a win for Core Red and a loss for Core Blue. That certainly did happen. But I'm not ready to say that Core Blue fell to Core Red this week. I think this feud is far from over. And I think Tom Merritt is going to maybe need to put his money where his mouth is if he wants to prove to people that he can beat me in the ring. I got nothing better to do this week, Tom. Maybe let's find out who's really the best. Maybe we can even do an I Quit match. We'll make sure somebody definitely taps out this time. That's what I think. Anyway, that is what went down last week on Frog Wrestling. And that means that this week, we got a lot to look forward to. As I teased, the feud between Dan Patrice and Ben Bumhofer ended with a questionable finish. It has to keep going, in my mind at least. We've got a lot of wrestlers who had done a lot of great work, and we haven't seen, like Mark Spagnolo. We got Nicole Spagnolo making waves. We got to find out what's going on with those Money in the Bank briefcase holders. It certainly has to be part of the reason why Scott recruited Tom to join Core Red. He is the holder of a set of keys to a title match whenever he wants it. So, with all this rolling around, I can also say with absolute certainty, Red versus Blue might not be the main story every week, but it is certainly not dying anytime soon until one core is done for. I really didn't want that to rhyme. It did. Ugh, that feels bad. We're ending on a sad note. I'm sorry. That rhyme wasn't good enough. It made me feel yucky. But that is it for Pawn News Update this week. A quick one. Again, Domestic stuff busy. I had too much Thanksgiving. I lost track of time, everybody. This is what I got for this week. I'll catch you all next week for another Pawn News update, and I'll see you this week for more frog wrestling. I can't wait for it. It's going to be a good one, I promise. I'll catch you all later.